Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Slash Filmcast. I'm David Chen, and with me is...
Vinter Hardwire.
Joining us also, he is a film writer at Gizmodo and IO9, Jermaine Lucier. Welcome back to the Slash Filmcast. Jermaine, how are you doing today?
I am doing so well because of what I made you guys do. So I'm glad to be here to hear all your thoughts on what we're about to discuss.
So today on the Slash Filmcast, we're going to be discussing some brief what we've been watching, and then moving on, a little bit of film news, and then moving on into an in-depth review of Slackers, which is the movie that we watched this week because we literally lost...
Not the seminal Richard Linklater film. Slacker.
No, this is
not
the
that.
sequel. This is the sequel, Slackers.
Yeah.
Yes.
The one he doesn't want anything to do with.
Nor is it the
Wait.
2009 Masahiro Murumatsu movie Slackers. It is the Dewey Nicks classic, as you put it, Slackers. And Jermaine, we already recorded when we recorded last week's episode. We said to people, "Do not watch Slackers" in preparation for this episode, because people like to watch things, and we said, do not watch this one.
It's a moral service. It's helpful. Yeah,
This is kind of our how did this get made, though, isn't it? In a way.
Yeah. Except in How Did This Get Made? I'm pretty sure most of the time, like, none of them like it.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I guess that's true. Well, it's not true. My favorite episode of that is when they reviewed Rad, the great BMX film from 1980 something, and a couple of them really love it.
Yeah,
Anyways.
They talk about a lot of bad movies that they genuinely love. I feel like, this is certainly this feels almost too terrible for How Did This Get Made, because it's not even bad in the way that a fun bad movie is. It's
agreed.
Just gross.
Agreed. All right,
Unless we'll get to it in a minute.
Yeah,
we're gonna get to it. But I mean, so the Summer Movie Wager is the yearly competition where we try to guess the top 10 movies of the summer by domestic box office. And every year we say the winner gets to choose a movie or something that all the losers must watch, right? And so that's what we did in this episode. But you might be asking yourself, wait, where are all the losers, right? Well, Jeff Kanata is still recovering from his eye surgery, so he actually gets an out on this one.
That's a fine excuse.
Because in no world am I going to force someone to watch Slackers as the first thing they watch after they've gained their eyesight back.
I love it.
Because that would be literally cruel and unusual punishment. Imagine not being able to see for weeks, and the first thing you see is the 2002 film Slackers.
Well, it's beautiful people in it.
I would
Devon
never
Sawa, Jason
be
Segel.
able to forgive myself. I would never be able to forgive myself.
Oh my God.
I can barely forgive myself. I can barely look myself in the mirror today, having seen Slackers.
Well, but there's one other loser. What's going on with that?
Oh yeah, Peter Serreta. That's a good question, Jermaine. Peter
We will hunt him
Serreta.
down.
I don't know where Peter is, but where I think he is somewhere where he's not courageous enough to watch Slackers.
Yeah.
Which is
He could not take the punishment, the loss. You guys
Cut to Peter
fine
Serreta's
gentlemen.
house. He's moved out. There is no trace of him. He will go to extreme lengths not to see Slackers, okay?
Yeah, extreme lengths, like saying, "Hey, Dave, I don't have time to watch Slackers," an 87-minute movie, in time for next week's podcast.
Then
You've
you're
seen
like,
Midsommar.
yeah,
Yeah.
you've seen the Midsummer Stunt twice.
How many times?
How many times has he been to Galaxy's Edge? With Slackers.
This guy has been to Galaxy's Edge 15 times, can't watch Slackers once.
Been to another galaxy? Man.
You know how long the drive is from Anaheim to Disneyland? It's about 45 minutes. So boom, watch on the way there, watch on the way back.
He
good
could
to
have
go.
had like Kitra drive him to Galaxy's Edge and watch Slackers on the ride there and back, and he refused to do this.
Absolutely.
You'd want to survive that car ride, so you would not
Shame.
play that. Yeah.
So on the one hand, I don't really give a crap whether Peter Serreta watches Slackers. Like my life is not impacted by whether or not Peter Serreta watches Slackers. On the other hand,
You must suffer.
I do think that this really does call into question, like, what next year's Summer Movie Wager, like, what if he wins next year? You know what I mean? Like, then it's like, well, does he get to inflict a movie on us even though he didn't do this year's movie? I think that only happens if he watches Slackers anyway not for the purposes of this podcast.
And then if you want, we could do if he does, I could come on real quick and I could do a lightning round quiz to see how well he does.
Yeah. Plot points.
Plot points, different things, yes.
What gross sex act occurred in this scene?
Exactly. All of them at once.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You're giving me PTSD from Slackers. Anyway. Okay. Let's get on with the show, folks. What we've been watching. Jermaine, tell us about what you've been watching this week.
Oh yeah. I spent some time and I binged through The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance on Netflix, and holy crap, it is awesome. I've seen the original movie, but probably I saw it so long ago I don't remember having seen it. I just know I saw it. I probably saw it when I was like 5 or 6 years old. So I was like, do I really want to watch this show? And then the reviews came out, and a lot of my colleagues were like, it's very, very good. And I watched it, and it made me feel like I was watching Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, just this incredible world with this great world building and characters and mythology. And it's all puppets, so the artistry is incredible, and the cinematography is beautiful. And it was so excellent that
the writing is great. Like the world building is great. This is like the next. This is pretty much the next Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings type thing. Yeah,
it really should be. But I think a lot of people are not going to give it a chance because, like, why would I want to watch puppets? And it's
yeah.
But if you watch, it's like a lot of I know adults who say I wouldn't watch a Pixar movie because it's animated, and it's like, dude, it's made for you. Like they make these movies for us.
Yeah. I saw the first couple episodes of this, by the way, Jermaine. Yeah. It throws you in deep. Like it does not wait to like there is no like introduction to Bag End and everything, right? There's a slight introduction to the world, but otherwise like things get really complex really quickly. I was surprised.
And then as you get later though, it sort of simplifies with that stuff, and you sort of get the kind of, good guys, bad guys, but then the action and the set pieces are unreal good. Like you're like, how are they doing this? And the answer is a lot of great filmmaking techniques, but like yeah, it really is really good. And like, I can't recommend it enough. If you're into science fiction fantasy, you don't have to have seen the first Dark Crystal. And guess what? It's also on Netflix. I'm going to rewatch it as like an 11th episode of this, tomorrow or later this week. Cause, I can't wait. I bought like some Funko Pops for the show. Like I'm like immersed in it. I want like all of it. I'm like so into it right now. It really got me.
Well, that's the Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance. So, how many episodes you've watched the whole thing? Devindra, are you through the first season?
Not the entire thing, just like the first couple episodes. But it's great. It has some great writing. One of my favorite TV writers is also working on this. Javier Grillo-Marxuach, who did I'm just gonna start this over.
Yep.
One of my favorite TV writers who did, or his name is Javier Grillo-Marxuach. He's done a bunch of fantastic shows. He's worked on Charmed. He's worked on like all sorts of things. He's a part of this. I kind of love all the talent involved in the show. Yeah,
that's the other thing. All 10 episodes are directed by Louis Leterrier, who did, he did The Hulk, but he did Now You Can See Me, who's, and the voice cast is like unreal. Taron Egerton, Natalie Emmanuel, that's not how you pronounce it, Anna Taylor-Joy, Jason Isaacs, I'm looking at the IMDb now, Simon Pegg, Gugu Mbatha-Raw, Keegan-Michael Key, Mark Hamill. Like, it's Harvey Fierstein, Awkwafina, Lena Headey. It's like Game of Thrones meets Star Wars meets Kingsman. It's unreal, the voice cast. Like, and that just adds an even extra layer of excellent.
All right. Well, glad to hear it. Glad to hear everyone's been enjoying it. Again, the show is The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance. And do you need to have seen the original to enjoy this?
No, not at all. Like I said, it's a prequel to the original. So the original kind of acts as like an extra episode if you want it to. So I like I said, I remembered nothing about the original. I didn't know what a Gelfling was or a Skeksis or any of that. And you just watch this and it just completely immerses you on its own.
All right. Well, again, Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance is on Netflix right now. Devindra, what have you been watching this week?
I've been watching some screeners for the show Undone, which is going to be premiering on Amazon Prime Video this Friday. This thing is insane. This show is one of the best things I've seen in the past few years. Like it's just
Whoa.
it's everything.
Nice.
Yeah, it is a rotoscoped.
But didn't you watch
animation show.
Slackers?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay,
See,
okay.
yeah. Now we're talking about something good. This is getting us
okay.
ready to talk about Slackers. So I have
Okay.
the energy in my body, Jermaine, to talk about that movie.
All right, just double checking.
Yeah, yeah. But this show's about a girl who gets involved in a car accident and basically starts to see her dead father and learns that she has certain powers, like the ability to manipulate time and maybe space and maybe other things. This show is like a hodgepodge of Russian Doll, The Matrix, Satoshi Kon movies, like Paprika. It is a mind trip. It's a complete mind fuck. And it's also entirely rotoscoped. So it has the animation style of like a Scanner Darkly. I believe it's done by the same studio too. Minnow Mountain. They're Austin based. Stars Rosa Salazar. Who else? A bunch of folks. Bob Odenkirk. Sorry. It stars Rosa Salazar from Alita and Bob Odenkirk as her father. Great voice cast all around. It's written and created by Raphael Bob Waksberg from BoJack Horseman and Kate Birdie, who also worked on that show. It's just incredible because it's a show about this. She's a disaffected 20-something girl who's really trying to find direction in her life, and she stumbles into this situation where she kind of has this power, and it's helping her grow as a person. There's some great storytelling here. Things get wild and cosmic, and like, yeah, it really starts to feel like The Matrix at certain points, where like the show's just starting to play with the notions of time and reality and the way the universe works. It's deep, while at the same time it's like super intimate, and I think doing a great job of telling a story about a person who's just trying to piece things together and trying to, have a happy life with her family. Her ultimate goal is to figure out if her father was murdered in the past while talking to the ghost of her father. It's a great concept. It looks incredible. I think a lot of the set pieces just feel like they're straight up lifted from Satoshi Kon movies. Like they're trippy. I can understand why it's rotoscoped animated. Because the show can just do impossible things. Like they could be talking in one scene, and then all of a sudden they're in space, and then all of a sudden they're underwater or something like that. It really taps into the unlimited potential of animation while also giving us like a deep sense of reality, because it's also, drawing over real people. I cannot speak highly enough of this show. Everybody check it out. I feel like Amazon releases a lot of things that tend to be good. And sometimes it's just me shouting to the void. Like, for the love of God, watch Bosch. For the love of God, watch Mozart in the Jungle. These are great shows. Some people see them. Clearly, like, they have enough support to be getting these seasons. But I can't really tell sometimes if people are actually watching these things. Please watch Undone. It's so good. It's fantastic. I can't wait for everybody to see it.
Wow.
All right, that's Undone. Jermaine, you heard of this show?
Just in passing, I mean, I just was like, oh, that's that Scanner Darkly Rosa Salazar show, and it didn't even occur to me that it would be anywhere near what Devendra just said. Color me interested.
All right, well, that's again Undone. It's on Prime Video this week on Friday. I think it's coming out on September 13th. Check it out on Amazon Prime. I have colleagues who are working on that show, so you should check it out. That's going to do it for what we've been watching this week. Before we move on, hold on, give me a second. Let me take a second. That's going to do it for what we've been watching this week. This gap here that I'm talking about right now is where the ad will go. So remove me saying this and then put the ad here, the first ad here. Moving on. All right. Before we get to our review, there is one thing I want to talk about. It's not really what I've been watching this week, but I have been watching this thing called Honest Trailer Commentaries. You guys know the Honest Trailers, and they do these things called commentaries.
Yeah.
And Honest Trailer Commentaries, where they kind of like comment on the making of the Honest Trailer. And it's like one of my favorite YouTube channels, and the commentaries are really entertaining. They're like podcast episodes.
Screen Junkies, right?
Screen Junkies, that's right. Or Fandom, whatever they are right now.
Yeah.
and I was watching the honest trailer commentary for Con Air, commenting on their Con Air honest trailer. I think that was like quite a while ago, but anyway, during that conversation, they came up with they were talking about Nicolas Cage movies. Like Nicolas Cage had a really excellent few years, where he was in The Rock, Con Air, and Face Off, right? All in the span of a couple years. And they were talking about which one of those movies was the best one. And I tweeted out the following: you can only keep one of the following 3 Nicolas Cage movies. The other 2 will be eradicated from the face of the earth with no memory of them ever having existed. Which one do you choose? The Rock, Con Air, or Face Off? Like, so inspired by that Screen Junkies thing, I tweeted out this 3 choices. And I thought it'd be fun to talk about today on the podcast. Like, if you could... This actually reminds me of a thing that Drew McWeeny does as well. He has a thing called Movie God, where like you can eliminate like all the works of like this director, or in this case, you can eliminate one of these 3 Nicolas Cage movies. Which one, or 2 of these 3 Nicolas Cage movies? Like, which one do you keep if you can only keep one of these? Jermaine Lucier, let's start with you.
Yeah, I voted on your poll, and for me, it's The Rock. I think there's something about the setup of that movie, the conceit of that movie, the sort of location of that movie. You take this incredible story and you put it on such an iconic place. Michael Bay, sort of his second movie, where he was still kind of raw, but had that sort of vision and he had Jerry Bruckheimer and Don Simpson actually producing, which actually made him a good director. And Cage is not like full blown Cage. He's like 70% Cage, and he gets, checked by Sean Connery. As much I like Face Off a lot. I don't love it as much as everybody else. I watched it recently and didn't hold up as much as I liked it to. And I always thought Con Air was kind of a cheesy movie, kind of almost like a 2019 Nicolas Cage movie.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Con Air barely held up when it's when it aired.
Exactly. So to me, the Rock is just an all around excellent movie, where I think Face Off has a good conceit, great performances, great direction, but I don't know if I love the story. So for me, it's The Rock.
Here's the thing about Con Air, okay, which is clearly I think like most people think is the worst out of these 3 films, and and did the worst in the poll as well. The thing about Con Air is it has had a life beyond the movie itself. And specifically in the form of memes. Like, for instance, that meme that's like, hey, blow on this gif of Nicolas Cage. And then, like, it's like Cameron Poe, like his hair getting blown back, put the bunny back in the box. Whatever the hell Steve Buscemi's doing in this movie, whatever the hell John Malkovich is doing in this movie. Like, those things, those performances, those moments have lived beyond even the scope of the film. And so I think for that reason, people think on it fondly, even though at the time it was not like very well reviewed or well regarded at all, right? No. But it's one of those movies where, like, as time has gone on, people have appreciated it more. And as it's been removed from its original context, it's like, oh, this thing is so cheesy and ridiculous. And it's a kind of movie like that they wouldn't really make today, or they rarely make today, right? I mean, probably the closest thing we have to Con Air today is Angel Has Fallen, and even that is like not even nearly as ridiculous as Con Air.
It would be a Netflix movie today for sure.
Yeah. So I am also not a huge fan of Con Air, but it does have its moments, and it is really funny and ridiculous. But
excellent cast too. It's got that sort of Armageddon cast where you're like, oh my God, John Malkovich is in this. Oh my God, Dave Chappelle is in this.
Dave Chappelle is in it. John Cusack, Colm Meaney. Anyway, so Devendra Hardawar. Okay, assuming Con Air is out of contention, then you can only keep The Rock and Face Off. Which one do you keep?
This is a clear choice for me. It's an easy choice for me. Come on, anybody who's listened to the show knows I'm gonna choose keep Face Off.
Yeah,
Face Off is, for me, it's not just like a great movie. I think it is a wild confluence of many different things. Like, you have Travolta doing his thing, you have Cage being fully Cage, and then you have them like swapping, playing each other. You have John Woo, like, this is his best American action movie. I think The Rock is a very good movie, but I also think a a lot of very competent directors could make that movie. Like nothing about that movie feels special. It just feels very polished. It feels like a really well done 90s action movie. Whereas Face Off is so weird and so bonkers and so insane and has such like visionary ideas, and the set pieces are so like, I'm not sure who beyond John Woo could come up with some of those set pieces. That's why I would always vote for Face Off.
So I don't think I think that I still think The Rock is Michael Bay's best film, right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
after all this time, and I agree with you that a lot of directors could have made The Rock and it would have been pretty good, but I do think Michael Bay brings a lot to that movie. Like when we think of the canonical Michael Bay flourishes, right? The low spinning shot as people like stand up, the like super hyper lit music video-esque settings, the fetishism for the American military and technology, like all that stuff is like Michael Bay at his most Bayiest in The Rock, and there is a lot of value to that. You also have,
but does it have a shootout set to Somewhere Over the Rainbow? Does it?
No, it doesn't.
No, it
but
has a joke where he calls him Rocket Man and he shoots him off with an Elton John joke. I mean,
it does.
God.
It does. It does have a Rocket Man joke. It does have it does have Sean Connery showering to like that San Francisco song while he takes a clothesline that he's going to use to hang what is it, John Spencer off the building later. You know, like
a Ferrari versus a Hummer down the streets of San Francisco that they shot in San Francisco.
And the thing is, I mean, this is like one of my favorite Ed Harris performances because you kind of like, even though Ed Harris is doing something monstrous, you kind of understand why he's doing it. You know, like it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense to me why he did that. I don't agree, but like he is so charismatic and so compelling in this movie. And you know, there's been movies where, and spoilers for The Rock coming up, but there's been movies where like a bad guy will become good, like at the last minute, right? They'll be like, oh, hey, I've been bad this whole movie, but like now I'm going to be good because like the plot demands it, and you know that's how this movie will make sense, or that's how we get to the ending. And very often, I will find that turn to be unconvincing. Like I won't like it. I'll think it's like very inorganic. Ed Harris turning good at the end of that movie is like one of the only ones, like the only ones at the times I've believed a villain can turn good. You know, like, oh, all of his decisions, the weight of all his decisions finally caught up with him, and that's why he's doing what he's doing now. Like that makes sense to me. And so love the performances. Sean Connery, you know, this is one of my favorite roles of his.
Basically playing old Bond.
Yeah, basically playing old James Bond.
Yeah,
you know, like
absolutely.
James Bond who's been captured and now like they're releasing him out into the world. I mean, he's amazing in this movie. And I think it's closer to 50% Nicolas Cage. In terms of like how Nicolas Cage is in this movie. I think it's like 50%. There are a lot of classic Nicolas Cage lines in this movie, but ultimately I'm gonna have to go with Face Off as well because
All right.
because Face Off is so out there, right? I think Honest Trailer Commentary said like this movie is 2 hours of cocaine, basically. Like it's basically like crazy idea after crazy idea of like, what if we reverse these people's faces, and what if we had John Travolta play one of them and Nicolas Cage?
Did you hear they may be rebooting it?
Well, no, I mean that's what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to talk about today.
Spoilers.
Yeah, thanks, Devindra.
You should have warned me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. But yeah. I mean, the stylistic flourishes are, I would say, comparable to The Rock in terms of like the Rock is so stylish. Face Off is so stylish. This is John Woo's best American action movie.
I mean, John Woo compared to Michael Bay, there's no comparison. I mean, John Woo is a maestro, and Michael Bay is he's like a 26-year-old kid learning to do what he's doing at this point.
I think Bay can't be a maestro with a certain scope. Like there's a scope that he works in, whereas John Woo's like, what if we had a speedboat chase and we were shooting during it? Let's have the showdown in a church. Like there's so many ideas.
So many doves in Face Off. It's like it's the doviest of Dove John Woo movies too.
Yeah, the one thing that I thought was interesting was somebody tweeted in response to me like about this poll that the one bad thing about Face Off is like if we took Face Off away, right? It's possible that John Woo would not have stayed in the United States trying to make films for 10 years.
Right.
And like it would be 10 years until he made Red Cliff, right? Since Face Off. He did make Mission Impossible 2, which was a massively successful movie. And then he made
And the world is better for it. Like, come on.
Yeah, I guess. And then there's
it got us Mission Impossible 4, 5, and 6, so that's good.
Right. I guess that's one way of looking at it is if John Woo hadn't directed Mission Impossible 2, we never would have gotten the rest of the Mission Impossibles. And you're right.
A significant chunk of my high school experience would be very different without Mission Impossible 2. So God bless that.
It's true. It's true. Another way you could look at it, though, is a different director would have made Mission Impossible 2, and it might have been it might have aged better. Who knows?
Don't think we would have gotten motorcycle fights. Don't think we would have gotten sports cars dancing on a highway. Literally.
Yeah, okay, that scene was pretty cool. But then he made Windtalkers and Paycheck, and nobody really liked those movies particularly that much. And so then, he went back to China to make Red Cliff in 2008. That's the movie. That's when that movie came out. And yeah, like I wonder if he hadn't made Face Off, right? If he just done Broken Arrow and that was like not that good, and he'd gone back to Hong Kong or China to make the rest of his movies. Whether or not it would have been whether we'd be living in a better cinematic.
We did just review John Woo's latest Hong Kong movie. It still did not work out so well. So I don't know. I don't know how much we could bet on this hypothetical.
What are you referring to, Devendra?
Didn't we review? What is that movie called? The one with the Japanese lawyer. What? Which one?
Slackers.
No, not Slackers.
Oh, okay, sorry.
No, the most recent movie he made is Manhunt in 2017.
Yeah, we reviewed that on this podcast.
I don't think we did. I don't think we did, Devendra. You're making up a phantom review. I think you're thinking of a different director, Devendra. But anyway.
No. We fucking reviewed this movie, David Chen.
No, dude, we didn't. I don't know what to tell you, man. Google it. It doesn't exist.
We definitely reviewed this movie.
Okay.
Where was this movie reviewed? What's happening?
I think I gotta delete all the. We should delete all this stuff from the podcast.
No. I reviewed it. I talked about this movie.
Oh, okay.
And I'm pretty sure you chimed in, Dave.
No, I mean I haven't seen any of his recent stuff. Oh, I know what you're talking about. I think you're talking about his Netflix movie, right?
Yes. That's Manhunt.
Oh, that's Manhunt. Yeah, you're right. I did watch that.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Okay.
That was a lovely circumvention.
No, let's take this all back.
Let's
take this all back. Okay.
So we guys talking about Manhunt?
This actually
okay. So here we go. Here we go.
For me.
Hold on. I know where to start. Because I think I misidentified. So yeah. So if John Woo had never made Face Off, if he'd made Broken Arrow and then decided to go back and get his Red Cliff part of his career started sooner, we might be living in a better cinematic world, right?
Sure. Except we did talk about John Woo's recent Hong Kong film for Netflix called Manhunt, which I believe you hated, David Chen, and you hated so much we actually spent 5 minutes before this cut in the podcast. We spent 5 minutes trying to get David Chen to remember that he talked about Manhunt with me on this very podcast.
The fourth wall just crumbled. It was just unbelievable.
That's how forgettable that movie is.
Yeah,
proven.
Pretty rough. But yeah, I think the premise of Face Off is so unique. The performances are so memorable.
He didn't write that movie, but I think he brought a lot to the execution of it. For
the moments, there's so many moments, like the double golden pistols, the opening sequence with the Hummer and the plane. I mean, it is peak. It's the perfect melding of John Woo and American action film. It's like such a perfect fusion of those two things. Just like the freaking Erewhon prison, right? I mean, the whole concept of Erewhon prison is so ridiculous, and the idea of switching bodies with it's just everything is. They
got to be the similar height, right? It has to be just right for this to work.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, you bring up a good point, Devindra, which is that we learned today that Paramount is going to be rebooting Face Off.
All right.
Reading here from Deadline.com, the studio will reboot the film with a new cast. Oren Uziel has been set to write the script, and Neil Moritz will produce, and David Permit will be executive producer. Oren Uziel, of course, the director of The Cloverfield Paradox, for those who saw that movie.
I believe he's a writer. I don't think he directed it.
I'm pretty sure he directed it.
You could be right. I could be wrong. I'm
pretty sure he directed. Oh no, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. Yeah. He wrote it. Julius Ona directed The Cloverfield Paradox. So that's my bad.
Moritz, by the way, also produced Slackers. So we've come full circle.
That's true.
By the way,
and the other thing is, at least they didn't write 10 Cloverfield Lane. Whoever did that was a piece of crap. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, I mean, whoever worked on that movie.
Terrible.
No, but seriously though, I mean,
friend of the podcast.
Here's a question. Okay, if you could choose, and I know like I'm putting you guys on the spot here, but if you could choose two actors,
yes, I already have them.
Okay, to switch bodies or switch, switch bodies in a new face-off, who would they be? Devindra Hardawar.
I propose Will Smith and Jamie Foxx, because I think that would be a ton of fun. But there is like a 5 or 6 inch height difference, so it's not work. It won't work for them. But movies. We think Tom Cruise is 6 feet tall. So
you just want to see like Bad Boys. That's cool. We made that movie. It's great. So Will Smith cop action movie. Got it.
No, Will Smith being Jamie Foxx and Jamie Foxx being Will Smith.
I get it. I don't know. I mean,
that would be fun. That would be great.
I love both those guys. I think that's good. I saw people like putting up stuff today. I think you got to gender flip it, and I think it's got to be like. But the thing is that I can think of a lot of awesome women who should be in it, but I can't think of two like polar opposites. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the hard part. Is that like I don't know. I got nothing. I have nothing.
Okay, let me propose that what you need to make Face Off work is you need kind of like the straight man, right? Like Sean Archer, right? And then you need a character who's like way balls to the wall, like really out of his gourd kind of deal, right?
Yeah. Emily Blunt and Eva Green. There you go.
Oh yeah, those are great. Emily Blunt and Eva Green. That would be a great combination to see like them change. But I actually think you need to go even further out there. Okay. So let's see. I'm gonna say that. Okay. Here we go. My first actor is Gary Busey. I think you need.
So you want to make $0 at the box office?
I think you need Gary Busey.
This is a Blockbuster Video for some reason
because
there aren't any in existence anymore.
Because guys, Gary Busey is inimitable, right? Like the fun of watching Face Off is you're watching John Travolta try to pretend.
It has to be a legendary.
He's trying to pretend to be Nicolas Cage. That's what is amazing about Face Off is you're watching one actor you know try to pretend to be another actor you know.
I know who your second one is, Dave.
Is it Nick Nolte?
Yes.
They're both crazy. That makes no sense.
It also it would it's the same flavor. It's the same crazy old white guy flavor. Like we got to change it up somehow. We got to have different tones. I don't know.
So that's a good combo. Let's see. How tall is okay? Here's another one. Here's another one.
Movie magic makes it all work.
They just change their faces, dudes. It doesn't matter how tall they are.
Listen, and this time they also need to swap penises because not sure how that worked in the first movie. Really not sure how the wife did not figure that out.
Okay. Let me throw another one out there. Okay. How about Ed Harris and Steve Buscemi? What do you think? Like, I think they would be like distinctive enough.
Ed Harris and Ed O'Neill.
That could
always
work.
get them confused.
That could work. That could work. A lot of Eds there. Okay, Jermaine, you wanna vote on who should be in the new Face Off?
None of the people you said. That's all. So my vote is the field. My vote is the field versus your picks. I have nothing. Like I said, I just honestly, it's hard. It's hard because I wrote about this a little bit, and I was just like, it is such a fine line. Like Cage and Travolta are. It's so perfect because they're at that time, especially like now they're both kind of crazy, but at that time, just Cage was like starting to break crazy, and Travolta was still like a respected actor. It's like, you're talking like 3 years after Pulp Fiction, John Travolta.
You need some iconic actors. Therefore, Will Smith and Jamie Foxx.
Right.
It's the only logical solution.
I just feel like their personalities are both boisterous and fun and too similar.
No. Well, I don't think they're similar. Well, they also did Ali together, but I think what we've seen is that let's just say I think Jamie Foxx has a lot more nuance to him than Will Smith does as an actor, and I think it'd be really fun. I just want to see Jamie Foxx play Will Smith for an entire movie. Basically, that's all.
By the way, you know what else I realized? I realized before we go off of this, and people were recasting this, and the one that I kept seeing was The Rock and Kevin Hart, which doesn't make any sense. But I was like, this is just Jumanji.
Oh yeah, that'd be pretty good. Let me throw another one out there, right? If one of them is like Robert Downey Jr., right? Like, who would be great at imitating Robert Downey Jr.? Or wouldn't you love to see somebody try to pretend to be Robert Downey Jr.? Like
it's Iron Man, and Captain America. You want to sell tickets? There you go.
That would be the movie.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. So a lot of potential. All that said, I think this is
Robert Downey Jr. and Christian Bale.
Ooh, that's real good.
That's
That'd
good.
Be fun.
That is good, like, because we've rarely seen Christian Bale like cut loose like that, right?
Yes.
Maybe in The Fighter, but like we haven't seen Christian Bale do something really off the wall like that.
I hear Ford Ferrari apparently is and he's apparently doing that basically.
So all that said, are we looking forward to a Face Off remake? I mean, that's the thing. So I should reveal that my poll on this topic, Face Off did win, so everyone chose wisely. The Rock was a close second. Face Off got 41%. The Rock got 37%. Con Air 22%.
I just watched a live production of Face Off in the park here in Brooklyn. Okay, like there is love for Face Off in a way that, as much as The Rock I think is respected and maybe widely regarded as Michael Bay's best movie, not the same level of respect, not fandom.
Well, it's because Face Off is so weird. Like The Rock is not weird. It's like really well executed, but it's not weird. And I think weird things stand the test of time. So
exactly.
So all that said, are we looking forward to this Face Off remake? Like I don't know.
No, it's gonna be terrible.
Oh yeah, I think it'll probably be very bad.
I think it's a bad idea. I mean, they would have to they'd have to nail it. You'd have to be like, it's Edgar Wright directing Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, and you'd be like, oh shit, that's cool. But I think it was Ben David Grabinski on Twitter said like, all the directors I would trust with Face Off would never direct Face Off.
Yes.
And I was like, you nailed it. Yeah.
It's sacred. You cannot do this.
Yeah. I guess they probably would respect John Woo too much,
Michael Bay directing the Face Off remake.
No, that's terrible.
Come
Who
on.
directed the Ninja Turtles movies? Let's get them together and let's make Face Off.
All right. Well, let's move on, folks, to our review of Slackers.
I really like how you delayed this, Dave. Like you really just want to
that went long.
Let's talk about this
before
news for half an hour, please.
All right, here we go. So I'm gonna put the trailer there. Here we go. That was from the trailer for the Dewey Nix 2002 film Slackers. I'm going to read the plot summary from IMDb. When geeky Ethan discovers 3 fellow students scamming the examination system, he blackmails them to win over the college's most popular girl. So,
just not even accurate. But okay, keep going. I'm sorry.
That is the movie.
No, but she's not the college's most popular girl. She's kind of an intro.
That's your quibble.
Yeah, that's my quibble. All right, yeah.
I mean, Jermaine, I think you should submit a change to IMDb to uphold the integrity of the Slackers.
Well, you know what's funny? You know what's funny about that is I have submitted many changes to IMDb about Slackers in the past. Are
you sure? Funny is the correct word and not sad?
Right. Well. Are we all right? All right. Are we ready for this? You guys ready?
Okay, so Jermaine, before we begin, Jermaine's going to share with us why he chose Slackers as the movie that he forced us to watch.
Yeah. So Slackers is a movie that I know is very, very bad. And it's very easy to crap on it. But when I was right after I graduated college, me and my friend John Chang, we're huge potheads. And we decided, you know what we're going to do? We're going to get stoned and watch movies, which we did. And we watched Half Baked and we watched Big Lebowski, and we were basic bitch stoners. But then one day we were like, let's go rent a movie. We went downstairs to a video store and we're like, oh, this looks stupid. And we rented Slackers, just not knowing anything about it. And so we popped it on, and within like 15 seconds, we were locked in. The movie starts with, the discussions over the studio cards, and then this instrumental of Baba O'Reilly by the Who, and it's like an Ocean's 11 opening, and we were like so mesmerized in our completely obliterated state that it became a fan favorite. And over the next 3 or 4 years, I swear, without exaggeration, I must have watched it 150, 200 times.
Jesus Christ!
Well, like we'd watch it like 3 or 4 times a week, and just laugh.
That's not healthy, Jermaine.
No, it was not a healthy time in my life. I do not smoke marijuana anymore.
But not the unhealthy part.
No. But the thing is that like we dissected this movie down to its bare bones, and like I watched it earlier this week just to refresh, because I hadn't seen it in probably like 2 or 3 years, and I still remember every single line. But we used to, like, when we'd rewatch it, we'd laugh and we'd enjoy it. But like we would go on the IMDb and we'd put on our favorite quotes in the memorable quotes section, because they weren't on there. I'd be like, how do they not have the quote about the seed of doubt, or how do they not have the quote of slave to the freaky ass booty? They gotta have that on there. So we'd add them on there. We'd get so stoned, and John will get very mad for me revealing this, that we would take out his his cam and reshoot scenes starring he and I. Like, we would reshoot the scenes. We would never edit them, and I don't know if that footage exists anymore. But we would like get so stoned that we would redo the scenes. We were obsessed with it, and to this day, like, I think, as bad as it is, and it probably is because of my weed mind that I watch it so many times. It is brilliant in that it is just a cacophony of mistakes, and everything that's good about it has nothing to do with the movie itself. The whole movie is random asides that are meant to shock you. Every line that's funny in the movie is not the main dialogue. It happens at the very end of the scene before it cuts. The whole movie is meant to disorient and to crazy mess you up. And I could spend, and my dream at that time was to work for slashfilm.com. No, it was to do like a commentary for this. We wanted to do like a podcast at the time. This is like 2003.
You can do that, Jermaine.
I know we could. We
could.
We just never did. I know. But we wanted to do a podcast together and just be like, all right, like, why are there ties hanging down from the trees here in this scene? It makes no sense. And
I could answer all of your questions about this movie, Jermaine. Nobody cared. Nobody cared at all about anything happening in this movie. There's your answer for everything.
But somebody did. Well, you guys know better than I do. Even like everybody who ever makes a movie, they don't set out to make a bad movie. It becomes a bad movie around the way.
But Jermaine, I would like to believe that. I tend to work with that life philosophy. I don't know if that's true with this movie.
That's the thing. But see, that's the thing.
I don't know.
The thing is that I don't disagree with you. But then how did it get here?
How did it get made in?
How did it get made? As I'm sure the script eventually, like, if you take that first 2 minutes of this movie where it's like, oh my God, these guys are cheaters and they have this scam and they have this whole intricate plan. You're like, okay, I'm with this. And then the second the credits end, this score comes on. It's like, bah, 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 and the movie ends. That's it. The rest of the movie is dog shit. But that first 90 seconds during the credits is like, oh my God, like, holy crap, what is this? Like, it almost, you could see that there are bones.
Like every movie with really dramatic opening narration. Like I don't know. Can I just do something real quick, guys? I was looking up, like, seeing who reviewed this movie. Roger Ebert reviewed this movie. He gave it 0 stars. I'm just going to read his introduction here.
Please.
Slackers is a dirty movie. not a sexy, erotic, steamy, or even smutty movie, but a just plain dirty movie. It made me feel unclean, and I'm the guy who liked There's Something About Mary and both American Pie movies. Oh, and Booty Call. This film knows no shame.
Well, those movies are all actually good movies.
Those are good movies.
Even Booty Call is a good
Even
movie.
Booty Call. Yes.
Yeah. Oh no, this movie, like it is like even at the time was homophobic, misogynist, gross. Like it is offensive. And as I was watching it, I think I tweeted, I was laughing that I made you guys watch it because it is so uncomfortable to watch. Like the sex scenes and all these things that just don't fit. And the
call them that.
Yeah, exactly.
If you can call them that.
Right. And the creepy stalker guy that he's the star of the movie, played by Jason Schwartzman, and the gaffes in this movie. There's so many mistakes in it. It's just I'm so fascinated by it to this day that, like I said, like I just want to talk to somebody about it. And one time, John Chang, he currently works at HBO in the engineering department.
Oh wow, you're just really outing your friend here. Yep. Okay.
No. He met Dewey Nicks. Dewey Nicks was there, and he was like talking about something, and the guy's name came up, and he's like, "Wait, Dewey Nicks, did you direct Slackers?" And he's like, "What? Yeah." And he like talked to him, and he got his like DVD signed. So John has a Dewey Nicks signed DVD, the only one in the world, I would imagine. But I'm saying like that guy, like he was like a famous fashion photographer. That's how. Yeah. Spoiler alert, Cameron Diaz is in the movie multiple times because like he had like shot a lot of like stuff with her. So like this guy, he wanted to make a movie and he tried to make a movie. And like I said,
Cameron Diaz, come into this movie for the grossest aside scenes imaginable. You
Right.
wanna just grind on Jason Schwartzman for 30 seconds, please? Please come in, give us a day for that.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was like an hour. I mean, they did shoot the big Marvel credits and credit scene with Cameron Diaz there. I love the music in this movie. Like, dude, there is a choral version of The Sign by Ace of Base in this movie. Why? I don't care. It's excellent. Like, it's just like I said, there are so many things that like are these like pings of greatness in this otherwise pile of dog shit that like I said, I could watch it every day, and I did for like 3 years. And I know it's bad. I know it's terrible. Like, it's so bad. Everybody is just phoning it in.
Jermaine, you should have warned us to get high before watching this movie.
I know.
I think that would be the only way to enjoy it.
I probably should have, and that is definitely like my excuse for it, is that we were so stoned every time we watch it. And now, like, that, like, just is imprinted in me. Anyway, that is sort of my pitch of why I won. I knew it was bad. I knew I loved it. And, like, this is kind of very, very self-serving in that I wanted to talk about this for so long, as you can kind of tell. And now I am very open to hear your guys' thoughts about the wonder that is Dewey Nicks Slackers.
All right, Devindra, hit us.
Okay, give me a second here. I'm gonna take a sip of water. I hate this movie. I hate this movie. I hate everything about this movie. I swear, like, this movie not only made me feel dirty as I was watching it, I felt bad for everybody involved. Really. Like, I was actually gonna look up the the often quoted Billy Madison quote about, like, I give you no points. This movie is not even worth that quote. This movie is a complete waste of time. It makes me feel bad for every single person involved, including people I genuinely like Jason Schwartzman. Jason Schwartzman was in Rushmore before this. Like, clearly he had like a career. He had things going on, right?
Kevin Sorbo was a big star at the time. He's
a big star. Clearly, they read this script. They're like, okay, I'm gonna put my face saying these words. I'm gonna agree to that for money, and that's gonna be part of my life. They agreed to this, so now this movie makes me think less of them, which is kind of sad. This movie treats every single woman either like a sex-crazed maniac or like the virginal bride that must be won. This movie does things with sex scenes that I don't even understand. At one point, Laura Prepon is just like masturbating on a couch, and Big Pete from Pete and Pete comes in. And she was like, I'm masturbating, and she just keeps doing it.
Masturbating in the dorms. That's what you get when you go to art school.
But she keeps doing it while he's there, and that's still supposed to be like a weirdly sexy scene. At some point, there's just like a blowjob from a porn movie starts happening, in the scene for no reason other than
the stepmom who blows her.
other than Devon Sawa enters the room and she's like, I gotta do this.
There are so many. Watching it again, I couldn't believe how many masturbation scenes are. There's so many masturbation scenes. It's crazy.
I don't know what this movie is doing. Like, nothing about it works. It's not funny. It's not entertaining. I hate all these characters. I really just want
even cool Ethan. He's such a cool guy. They
totally
listen to Heiner Raker Hall.
Totally cool. This movie feels like the college experience of somebody who's eventually going to get Me Too'd, like, out of existence.
Oh my god!
Like they filmed his college experience and called it Slackers, directed by Dewey Nix. That's my.
But it's about cheating, guys. It's not about a dude with a hair doll.
It's barely about that. Who are these characters? What are they doing?
But at least Avenger, at least at the end, they learn the error of their ways.
Learn nothing. Yeah.
Oh, right. That's right. They print out diplomas and they go on to very successful jobs.
I actually really enjoy things set on college campuses. Like, I enjoy high school comedies. I enjoy college comedies. I really like Undeclared. The American Pie movies I've always loved. Even when they got into college, there's some good college things too. Greek is a great TV show set primarily around, like, hijinks on college. This movie is even worse than Revenge of the Nerds, which has one of the lead characters commit rape as a victorious finale. I don't understand. Thank you, Jermaine, and also I hate you so much.
Wow. I don't even know if I need to say anything else after that. But yeah, the Revenge of the Nerds reference is apt, I think, because this movie was made in 2002. It feels like it was made in 1902, you know, when it comes to, like, attitudes towards women. It is so retrograde, so misogynist, so offensive. And, I mean, there's just, like, weird, crazy sexual things that happen for no reason. Since
it's not very racist because there are no people of color in this movie.
Yes.
Right. So they avoid that.
Where there's a moment where you know, this woman that he ends up falling in love with, like, he gets a blowjob from her stepmom. Like, that's never revisited again. Like, they never come back to that.
Add the fact that it's her stepmom. It's her stepmom, so it's okay. He's not just a creep. He's in the clear because she hates her.
They come back to it. They reveal that's the stepmom.
What?
And then his mom has her breast sucked by Cool Ethan in a dream, which is, of course, very, very normal.
Yeah, the Cool Ethan part is pretty upsetting. You know what I mean? Like, in light of, like,
it's just a sociopath, right? That's all. That's it.
He's a sociopath, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's it's a really upsetting character.
Yeah,
that has a lot of good lines and comes with great nicknames for people like Laser.
Tell me the lines, Jermaine. Like, when we were talking on Twitter, you said you would mount a serious defense of this movie, and all I'm hearing is that you liked it when you were high and you watched it every day. So what are the good I
don't have a serious defense. I mounted my defense. My defense is, I think the movie is it is so many mistakes that are just so out there you just can't stop thinking about them. Like I said, for example, like there's I referenced it earlier. Like, he goes in on the job interview at the end. He goes, "Mr. Dulles, what one word would describe you perfectly?" He goes, "I'd have to say slave to the freaky ass booty." And he goes, "That's not one word." And you're like, "What? Like, that's so stupid." But it makes no sense. And then it just keeps going. And how did they get into that building? And every single scene, if you pause it or think about it, has like 17 layers of what the fuck on it. And yeah, I think that's just the mark of a bad movie. But also, it's so bad and it's so crazy in every single scene. Or he comes at the end, he's like, "I'm not going to lie anymore, Sam." Jason Segel, who is an incredibly talented guy here again. And he's like, "I have something to say to you. I think I'm going to say it outside of the cage." What? What does that mean? Why do you have a cage in your dorm room? It's every single thing. What about Jim Rash? What about Jim Rash and Nat Faxon in this movie, the Oscar-winning writers of The Descendants, which is also kind of.
Oh, do we
lose him?
I think we lost him.
Are we here? I'm still here.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. What about say that again. What about Jim Rash?
I said, what about Jim Rash and Nat Faxon in this movie, the Oscar-winning screenwriters of The Descendants? who randomly have these two roles. They must have been friends with Dewey Nicks or something.
Yes.
And at the time, it didn't matter. But now it's like, why are these guys in here? Like I said, it's just this movie is like I said. It's most movies. The plot is the main thing. It makes no sense. You don't matter. Everything in this movie is the opposite.
I think it's your microphone.
Jermaine, your mic is like unplugging from your computer.
Yeah.
Is the connection okay?
Reseat your cable.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah. No, it's not moving. I'm trying not to. Let me see.
Yeah. Now it's good. Now it's good.
Yeah.
Is that better? Okay. Sorry. I'm just getting a little animated.
It's
All
cool.
Right,
yeah. Can you repeat whatever your last point was if you can remember it?
Yeah. It's where most movies are about the main plot and everything on the outside of it, like why they go into a scene, why they go out to a scene, makes no sense or is superfluous. This is the opposite, where everything about this movie that's interesting is on the beginning and the outs of the scene. Like when Dave walks into the dorm room to talk about Angela, and his two friends are talking about, hey, Dave, is it true you have to go through a gay porn to get into straight porn? And you're like, yeah, that's true. You have to have sex with gay guys before you have sex. And you're like, why are you talking about this? And then the scene just keeps going. Like, it's so bonkers, crazy, unreal that, like, I watch it. And like I said, I'm fascinated by why these things made it in the movie. And like I said, I can't mount a defense of it. I have no defense of it. It's indefensibly terrible. But if you have seen it as many times as I have and know every single line, like I said, like the needle drops, like they paid the Who money to use Baba O'Reilly. Like, how is that possible? Like Ace of Base sings a song and then he goes, guys, I saw the sign. Like, it's like, oh my God, it makes no sense. Like I literally just could go on.
There was no actual sign. Like there was no sign for
character
growth.
No, there's a literal sign that says like move forward in the future or something.
There's a literal sign, yes, but I'm saying it didn't feel like he even like saw anything, right? It didn't feel like he was actually moving forward.
I mean, that's one of the things watching it again that I kind of realized is that, like, no one ever changes. Like, plot wise, they say like, "Oh, I've learned," and like I get expelled from school at the end. Oh, nobody gives a fuck. I'm not gonna talk about spoilers, but it's like
you've already spoiled the film, Jermaine. So feel free to.
I've spoiled the whole thing.
Yeah,
I know.
So
I gave away the end credit scene.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a carnival of confusing, meant to shock and titillate by doing the dumbest thing ever in every single moment. And you could just watch one scene all night, every night, and be like, "Oh my God, what is happening?" It's that bad. It's that level of insane that I just I have an affinity for it and the people in it.
So, Jermaine, I have a couple questions to ask you, but one of them is, since you know every moment of this movie, what is your favorite moment that you like unironically in this movie?
Unironically?
Yeah. That you actually genuinely think is good?
I think it's the opening credits. I think, like, if you watch it...
AKA the what is it? The high point of the movie is the opening credits.
The high point of the movie, opening credits, the Baba O'Reilly instrumental, and the idea that these guys are like are gaming their college. It's this idea of like, okay, it's the only moment where the movie has like any potential to tell you a kind of cool, interesting story. You're like, oh, are there these anti-heroes who are going to take their school? Like, what are they doing? How are they doing this? And then, like I said, it goes into this sitcom-y thing, and it becomes about a stalker and pornography, and that's it. But that's the one part I hate. I like unironically. That's basically it. Mm-hmm. I think the rest of it is all kind of ironic, and like I said, it goes so far off the rails. Like, why is there a musical interlude of, like, 3 is a magic number?
Why is there anything? Why is this movie? Why is it?
Why is it out? Like why? Like,
have you guys seen PCU, the Jeremy Piven movie? I actually genuinely like that. I used to watch it a lot during the 90s. Even that movie, which is basically Revenge of the Nerds again, sort of, except in like a high class Connecticut elite college. Even that movie is better than this. Oh man.
Oh no.
So
it's just a shame.
Here's my question though. Jermaine, is you actually are a big fan of Entourage, the show and film, unironically. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
I mean, don't you?
This makes a lot of sense.
This is clear. This movie, Slackers, is clearly a precursor to that kind of storytelling, right? Like it's like these dudes broing out, getting some hot chicks, like even if they make some mistakes and some elements of their life goes wrong. Ultimately, everything's gonna be okay. Like they
you
don't
have people shouting lines like, "This is college. You bag your own bitches." Okay,
Yeah, it's not a bitch. It's a lovely person.
Yeah.
I
So
know.
I guess one question I have is like, why do you like Entourage, but you actually seem like and I understand this movie has a place in your heart from you and your friend enjoying it, and I get it. Like you like I have movies that I enjoyed with friends at like key parts of my life that like I don't necessarily think are good, but so I understand that as a concept, but this movie you actually seem to think you understand on a deep level that Slackers is actually a bad movie, but you don't seem to have that same feeling for Entourage. So I guess
Go.
Well, I guess I'm just curious, like, what distinguishes Slackers from Entourage, in your opinion?
I think Entourage over that. I think it's more like it's definitely problematic in a 2019 way, and at the same time, like I get it, but I think it's really, I think it's a personal thing. I grew up in New York. I moved to Los Angeles to be in the movie industry, and it was sort of that idealistic version that you thought of when you were a teenage boy of like, oh my God, the money and the cars and the sneakers and the girls.
I don't like Entourage. I think even Entourage has like characters that you can sort of start to like.
Right. And
like
I think
there's something there.
And to me, the best part about Entourage isn't the glitz and the glam. It's the real insider baseball. Like they do whole episodes where like the agent can't find the actor and the manager's fighting with the agent. Like if you like Hollywood and you can get over some of like the the misogyny and all that kind of
if you want to get prepared for real Hollywood, watch Entourage.
Yeah, exactly. No, but honestly, like probably. I mean, but at the same time, like I love all the cameos. I love there's whole episodes about like going to the Valley to like your premiere as a star. Like it really, like as a kid growing up, and I didn't move to Los Angeles until the show was over. But it was like, oh my God, like that's what I would do. I'd get in a limo to go to the ArcLight and like see the premiere of my movie. And it just felt like real LA and it felt like real Hollywood. And to an extent it is. So that's why like where I think Entourage is trying to tell a more interesting story. Yeah, it's about bros. Like how many movies are about Lord of the Rings is about bros. You know what I mean? Like a lot of movies and things are about.
How dare you?
Is it a group of guys that going to solve a problem?
No, but I would say bro. Yeah, I would say bros are like bros like a specific sensibility that like like beyond just like dudes like being cool to each other. Like there's this very specific like that they use the word dude. You know what I mean? Like it's a very specific milieu.
Quote unquote bro. Like I understand. No, that's true. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I mean, like I don't really see the comparison that you're making, Dave, other than I'm the link between the two. I think if Slackers was a TV show and a run like 7 seasons on HBO. But
yeah, so you're right. I mean, I'm convinced. Like you mounted a pretty convincing defense of the Entourage there, which is like there's basically more to it than just dudes getting with chicks, right? And like there's kind of this whole send up of the present Hollywood system that you might be interested in if you're into Hollywood, right? So like
an insight that you don't get in other shows about like how making a movie works, you didn't get to see.
I guess I don't know that I would think Entourage is a particularly realistic depiction of how to make a movie. But I don't know that Medellin is like a really like realistic. Anyway, my point being that
they made that. It was a Netflix show, and they made Aquaman, and they made the Ferrari movie, and they made Great Gatsby. Like everything he made, he joked about in the show became a real movie. So I think
that's more about the poverty of Hollywood's imagination than anything else. Come on.
So
I want to read one more bit from this Ebert review because it's classic.
Please, go ahead.
Watching Slackers, I was appalled by the poverty of its imagination. There is even a scene where Ethan approaches a girl from behind thinking she is Angela, and of course she turns around and it is not Angela, but a girl who wears braces and smiles at him so widely And for so long, we can almost hear the assistant director instructing her to be sure the camera can see those braces. That's what this movie is.
Wow. Man, you know, that girl was probably pretty happy with her performance in this movie, and you know, Roger Ebert shit all over it. So,
And you guys haven't even talked about Mamie Van Doren getting a sponge bath, or the sponge bath song. I mean,
I mentioned that, but that is also yet another random weird sex thing.
Here's my question though, Jermaine, is like you've had to
Just the
rewatch you've had to rewatch this movie for
didn't have to.
you chose to rewatch this movie and make us endure it. And looking back on it, like, what do you feel about it? You know, like, because I'll tell you, like, when I watch a thing that I used to love, and I watch it again, and it's terrible, I feel shame. You know, I feel like, oh man, like, I can't believe I ever liked this.
I think you realized it was terrible from the beginning.
Yeah, I think that's the difference. I've definitely watched things that I grew up liking and been like, oh god, this is not good. But it was not good in like a, it's just not good way. This was always bad. Like I enjoy parts of it unironically, but I've always enjoyed it ironically. So when I watch it again, I just fall back into laughing at the stupidity, like. And I kind of gleefully enjoyed knowing you guys were watching it, knowing how much you hated it, because that was, to me, the point of winning the summer movie wager.
You're just a troll.
Right. I mean,
the Joker
it's
of movie recommendations.
Like, why did Devendra or Dave, I'm sure which it was, made you people watch Gods of Egypt? It wasn't to be like, you guys should watch this movie. I like this kid. It was to be like, F you. Watch this and be.
Well, there were like, I didn't even really like Gods of Egypt that much, but there's a level of ambition. There's a level of like vision in that movie that this movie completely lacks. And I'll leave you guys with the tweets. This is what I felt as I was watching Slackers. I tweeted, watching Slackers because Jermaine made us, and I'm pretty sure humanity would be better off if this movie was erased from existence. But 15 minutes later, my follow-up. But on second thought, it must be remembered. Just like all atrocities of the past, we must learn from our mistakes, lest we repeat them.
Well, I don't know if I could say it any better than that, Devendra, but I
think that's a great place to end.
Monument to this movie. It'll be near all the conservative, all the like, which are the monuments in the South, basically.
Right. It's like to sort of wrap it up here too, is when I won, Peter said, "Oh, you guys, I think I'm going to have to watch High School Musical," which is a movie that my wife and I, the whole series, we hold dear to our hearts.
Yes,
in an ironic way.
We would have loved watching High School Musical.
Right, of course. It's a fun movie, but again, like, that wasn't why I did this. I wanted to inflict pain.
Yeah, rather than joy, you wanted pain.
Right, and I wanted to finally live my dream of talking about Slackers on a podcast that people actually listen to, as opposed to me and John recording a commentary and putting it that like my mom listens to. You know what I mean? Like, that would have been the only way in like 2004 that anybody would have listened to that.
Well,
but it took me 15 years, but I made it, and that was it. This is my reward. This whole podcast today was my reward for winning this fun summer movie wager, my first time. And I know you guys hated it. I agree it's bad, but I do want to thank you both for actually taking the time to watch it, considering it, and being mad at it, and being cool with me for doing it, because that was very, very cool of you guys. And so thank you for that. And Peter,
Jermaine, I want to make one thing clear. I'm not cool that you made this happen. I'm not cool. I will remember this. And the next time I win the summer movie wager, I will seek out to inflict the most pain possible upon you. So just think about that. Think about that in the next few years.
I'll just pull a Peter Soretta and then never do it. So it's fine.
Okay. Well, I mean, you know, Devendra, I feel like you've already wrapped this up really low, but I do want to mention one last thing, which is, I think the moment when this movie leapt from inoffensively bad to like truly upsetting, and I'm actually like actively angry that Jermaine made me watch it, was when Jason Schwartzman put Jamie King's character's like panties on his head, and I was just like, this guy is a fucking psycho. Like it's not funny. It's not funny. It's like upsetting.
Yeah, but do you know what he did after that? To really bring it home is Then he took a candle in his hand, and they met at his penis. And what happened there, I don't know, but that's literally what happens in the movie. Again,
Yeah, he basically started masturbating using candle wax.
Yeah.
And that's just like...
I won't knock it. I won't knock, your kinks. But yeah, he's still a psychopath.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, it's just like, wow, this is like
He has a hair doll of the girl, and he masturbates to that.
It's not a hair doll. It fell out of her hair that way, and he wants it back.
Okay, we're done. We're done here. You can find more episodes of this podcast at slashfilmcast.com. Email us at slashfilmcast@gmail.com. Our theme song comes from adamwarrock.com. Our spoiler report comes from filmmaker Kyle Hillinger. And this episode was edited by Beatty Zhang. Stay tuned to hear what we'll be discussing next week. In the meantime, Jermaine Lucier. I don't even want to tell people where they can find more of your work.
No exposure. None.
But Jermaine, you can find him at IO9 and Gizmodo. How about you, Devindra?
You can find me on Engadget. I write about tech there. You can find me on Twitter at Devindra. And we're also starting up the Engadget Tech Podcast. Sorry. Yeah. We're also starting up the Engadget TED Podcast again. So check that out soon.
And I have a new podcast called Culturally Relevant. You can find it at culturallyrelevantshow.com. I interview very cool people on that show. Check it out. Again, culturallyrelevantshow.com or Culturally Relevant in your podcast directories, wherever you download your stuff. Next week, we're actually not sure what we're going to be reviewing at this point. I think it's probably going to be between The Goldfinch and Hustlers. Right?
It's definitely going to be Hustlers. Come on.
So if you see both movies, you're going to be covered. Just as an FYI, I, David Chen, will not be here next week, and hopefully Jeff Kanata will be. So I'm going to be on vacation in Iceland, and Jeff Kanata will be hopefully back and recovered, and that'll be great. So that is what the plan is for next week. We'll tweet it out from the /Filmcast handle, twitter.com//Filmcast, the final thing that we'll be reviewing. So thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.